Smoked Pirate here. So today I'm gonna show you how to make a real simple t-shirt. Um, if you wanna later on get into details of how to make it more perfect, we can. Right now I'm just gonna show you how to get to the base of it, because sometimes you might have, let's say you're designing a t-shirt, you wanna make it in 3D, but however you don't want you don't have the capital to pay somebody else. Like I always say, we don't all have money all the time, but you want to impress them with something cool. I'm going to try to get you there. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to click on the square, a polygon cube, and we're going to look at it from another angle. Let's press F here. We're going to press R, we're going to make it a bit tight, right? If we press 3, this is what we get. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to press W, we're going to bring this up to here, and then we're going to take these vertices, we're going to... Okay, let's do this. Let's bring this here. Let's bring this here. Oh, so as a matter of fact, let's bring this down and press R. We're gonna set it up and then we'll jump to working in what I'm trying to get here. But let's take these two. Let's press R. We'll press W. Right around here, it's fine. And so now we're going to take this face here. We're going to press Shift, click, and drag till we get down to the bottom of the t-shirt. And we're going to press R. And we're going to stretch it a bit and push it down to about there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, Shift, click. The other way we can do this, if you notice, we can come here, click and drag, and we'll select both sides. And we can press Command E, and we can push down. Okay, no. Let's pull it out to about here. Let's switch this to the middle, and then we're gonna push down. And then we're gonna shrink it in a bit to about there. If I press the number 3, we're almost there. So now what we want to do is, we're going to take this edge, W, Shift, click, and drag, R, we're going to shrink it, and we're going to delete that. We're going to press 3. So now, if you press Object Mode and press R, give it a bit more thickness, you'll see that we have basically a shirt. We're going to take this face, Object Mode, face, click, we're going to delete that, and then we're going to take the base and we're going to delete that. Now, you basically have your t-shirt. You need to adjust a few things to make sure that this t-shirt works fine. Let's go back to the number 1, vertex. We're going to take this. Now I'm going to press Object Mode, then I'm going to work in symmetry now. So before I do that, I'm going to insert one edge loop. Mesh 2, insert edge loop, double click, change this from 10 to 1, close it, press 1, right in the middle. Now I'm going to press here. I'm going to change this from symmetry to object, right click vertex, press W, and I'm going to line up those vertices. And I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna take this first of all. I'm gonna push it here. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna push it there. And now we're gonna insert an edge loop here. And what we're gonna do is, let me see what's going on. Why is this? Oh, so this happens when you see I almost made another mistake here. So we're gonna need another one in the back, and then we're gonna see if we can. One. Okay. So always remember what you do on one side, you have to do on the other. Now, vertex, W. We're going to leave this the way it is, then press 3, see what I get. So we have to be careful because now we're starting to square off. What we're trying to get, insert an edge loop. Let's get an edge loop going across here. 1. So what we're trying to do is, if we click vertex W and we push this, you see what happens? We're trying to mimic what we're doing with the shirt. Let me get out of this for a minute. So we're in the front, we're gonna push this down. I'm working at number 3 so we can see how it's gonna look when it's smoothed out. So I'm gonna push that down more. I'm gonna take this, push it here. So we're mimicking our shirt, right? So what you're trying to do is get that outside feeling. This needs to go out too. So we're gonna push that out, down, right? And then here, we're gonna have that one there. We're gonna push this one down to about here. And this one here to about right here. I went too far down on this. On here, I should pull this up so I don't get that seam that I don't want. But you know what? It does go there. So we're gonna push this here. So now what we're trying to do is get a nice feeling for the shirt. So anything else that you don't want, you should be pushing it down a bit, right? And I'm still not happy with the way this looks, so I'm gonna push it up. And I know it's not matching what you're trying to get right now, but we'll fix that later. But this is what we're trying to get, guys. We're trying to get the feeling of a shirt, right? Now we need this edge to extrude, so we're gonna go to edge, double click, Command E or Control E, and we're gonna offset it. Oh, that's weird. Okay, we're gonna have to go back to 1 on this. Okay, so the problem we're having is, you see, when I extruded, something went wrong. This is not what we want. No, you know what? We are right. The problem is one of the vertices is overlapping in the other one. So let's see what's happening here. You see that? That was the issue. Sometimes you have to look around, and you're gonna, like, again, we're gonna run into mistakes, guys. We're gonna run into issues, and this is where we want to face them earlier on in the modeling. You don't want to have something almost done, and then when you go to work on it, it's not right. That's not, that's the worst place you can be at, because let's say your client is ready to see it, and now you're dabbling around in front of them, and that's not what you want. You want to make sure that everything is okay. So let's just say I'm happy with this, right? I'm gonna press 3, and I'm gonna work on some of this stuff. I want it to be nice and round. I do not want it to be squared at all. So some of this stuff we're gonna have to, while we're in the 3 mode, we're gonna have to mess with it and make it nice and round. So that's fine. You see it's nice and round. What we don't want is a square. We don't want SpongeBob hanging around. We want things to look nice and smooth. So let's see what I can do here. Maybe I can push these in and give that edge a bit of a roundness. Okay, let's just say this is what I want. I'm gonna press 1, object mode 1. I'm gonna take this edge. I'll press Command E while I'm in 1, because if you saw before, it was giving me issues, and we don't want issues. We're gonna push it as much as we need to, and then organize the vertices again. If I press object mode and press 3, we're still okay. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna press Command E, and I'm gonna offset this. Thickness, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give it some thickness. Right? And I need enough thickness to make sure that it's not supposed to be doing that. Let me press the number 1 and see what I am getting. So what we don't want is to see, you see those black pieces? You don't want that. You don't want to see any of those at all. And you see all this stuff, you want it to be gone. So we're gonna push it as much as we can. Object mode, we're gonna press 3. let's say you're happy with this, right? I'm gonna press 1, edge, face, click, shift, double click. I'm gonna go into 3 and I'm gonna press Command E. And I'm gonna add one more division. I'm sorry, my mistake. I'm gonna press edge. I was right the first time I said it. Double click that edge. It goes all the way around. Shift, double click that edge. Go into 3 mode and now shift right click bevel edge. We're gonna take that. We're gonna tighten it up. Not too much. See what happens if you tighten up too much. We're gonna add 1 segment and we're gonna try to get it as tight as possible. So if I press object mode now, we have the inside of a t-shirt, we have an outside of a t-shirt. We don't have that weird edge going on here. So we're gonna do the same thing, edge, double click, shift, double click. And since we're working in symmetry, it's already doing the other side for me, which is what we wanted. We're gonna shift right click, bevel that edge. We're gonna add 1 more to have a seam in the middle. Object mode and press 3. So this is what we get, guys. This is more or less what we get. So now that we're in, let's go to object mode. Let's press 1, see what we're at. Now here we're gonna have to do a few things. Let's see how we can face this problem. Because if I press 3, it looks great. Let's see, let's press 1 and press mesh smooth. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's just say this is how you want your t-shirt to look. It's not, because I forgot to do the bottom if you notice. So let's go back. So let's edge, shift double click, bevel that edge 1 more time, insert 1, object mode 3. Now let's see what happens when we press move mesh smooth. More. Okay, object mode. Let's say this is what you want your t-shirt to look like. Obviously, I can do some more work and I can fix this up by pressing 1, which we should do. So let's mess around with fixing this up a little bit. So let's push this here. Let's push this here. Let's push this right here. And let's with these outside lines, let's try to follow the contour of at least the outside of the shirt and get that ball rolling. If you ever run into this where you're selecting that, all you do is click off of it, click the paint select, the lasso, and go right around what you want, and you can still move. Lasso, zoom in, go around what you want, W, and zoom in, move it to where you want. Same thing, lasso, select that outside edge, W, and push it where you want. We're still working in symmetry, so everything's still working. Now here is an important part. This corner right here and this section, let's do this right. We're gonna want to press W. We're gonna want to push it up and move it over. Same thing for this outside edge. Remember, we're trying to match our T, but here we can now, let me try the last one here because I think it's kind of tight. Yeah, this is kind of tight. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna push it in. And then now with just this W. Let's do this here. Let's push this in a little bit more. Okay. Now if we press 3, it still looks good. If we press 1, it still looks good. The reason why I'm doing this way, because now we can see how we can face this issue up here, because it looks great, but anyway, this is just an example. So let's just say you made your shirt, you're happy with your shirt. You want to make a coat hanger, you take the cylinder, you press E, hold down J, rotate it to it like this. We're gonna bring it here using this section here. We're gonna press W, we're gonna pop it up here. We're gonna press R. We're gonna push it. Oops. We're gonna push this to about here. So let's bring this down because we want it to fall right into the arm. Let's press R, right? And the reason I'm leaving it this low is because the shirt's gonna drop down to it, but we're gonna curve this also. So you're gonna press object mode. We're gonna get out of, you know what? Let's not get out of symmetry. Mesh tool, let's insert an edge loop. Let's change this to about 15. Pop it in there. Edge, press Q to get out of the tool that we're in. We're gonna zoom in here. Double click. We're gonna come out here. It didn't, you see it didn't do symmetry. We have to get out of symmetry, off. Shift double click, and let's see what happens. So we got both selected. Shift right click, bevel that edge. We're gonna fraction it as much as we can right there and add more segments. So now object mode, and this is something new I'm gonna teach you guys today. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna go to the form, non-linear, bend, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna push this to the bend that you want. And then we're gonna press, okay, so now let's press W, object, you know what, no, let's do something else. Let's press Q. Let's object mode, mesh, smooth this one more time. There's a reason why I'm telling you this, so you'll see. Edit, delete by type history, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center. Now when I push this, I want this to be up as much as I can because I don't want the shirt to do too much dragging. I want it to fall as smoothly as I can. So now this is the fun part, guys. We're gonna go to the FX. We're gonna select your shirt, end cloth, create an end cloth. Click the shirt, shift click the hanger, end cloth, create a passive collider. What's gonna happen is before you even proceed, let's click on the shirt and we're gonna go to the end cloth shape and we're gonna change this to t-shirt. It's gonna replace the simple geometry that you have that's gonna just fall apart and keep going to a t-shirt resistance. So it's gonna go, let it go a little more. Let's go to this one so we can see it better. We're gonna zoom in and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So as you can see, the t-shirt is already dropping. Let this go a little more. This is basically like pre-rendering before you click on it, so you can get a better preview of what you're getting, of what you're gonna get. So you can see. Let's see if it fixes up or not. If not, we're gonna have to add more smoothness to this. If not, we can approach the t-shirt a different way. So let's keep going, see if it fixes up. So it's not fixing up, guys. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna retrace our steps and we're gonna do something else. Let's hide the hanger because we don't need it. We're gonna take this shirt, we're gonna go to a side view. We're gonna press E, hold down, and we're gonna make our shirt like this, right? We're gonna pull it up off of the grid. We're gonna insert a plane. We're gonna stretch that plane all the way out as much as you can. And this should work. So let's mesh modeling, mesh, smooth one more time. Yeah, that's fine. Now the shirt has a lot of smoothness. It should fall perfectly. So let's try this again. We're gonna go to FX, end cloth, create an end cloth, click, shift click, end cloth, passive collider. Now let's see what we get. Oh, before we begin, let's click on this and the shape, make it t-shirt because we're working on a t-shirt. T-shirt, replace selected, and let it do its work. what's gonna happen is the t-shirt is gonna fall like if it was dropping from the air onto the table, right? I have no clue why this is taking so long. It shouldn't. Maybe because I added so much smoothness to this, and it looks like it might crash. No, it's not gonna crash. Okay, let's see what happens. It looks like Maya might crash because I added too much smoothness to the material. So let's go back. Let's try to see if we can get rid of some of that smoothness. Let's leave it like this, guys, just for purposes of not overloading Maya. Again, now, and we're gonna turn this into a end cloth. Click, shift, click, end cloth, create a passive collider, and we should get this rolling. See, with Maya, you have to be very patient, and you have to make sure that what you're doing, you're gonna have to commit to, because if not, you saw how long that was taking. So watch this shirt here on the top. Let's go straight to this one, and watch what happens with this shirt. You see what happened there? It just bundled up because it's not t-shirt material. The other issue we could be having is, let's see, is that I doubled it up. But nonetheless, let's change this to t-shirt and see what happens. See how that reacts. So it's taking a bit longer because I applied t-shirt plus the smoothness that I had before was making it tough. As you can see, if I click and drag it, it's gonna fall. So I'm just gonna let it go a little bit more, and I'm gonna keep pushing it. Let's pop this over more to about 200. Let's let this line keep going at least to about 48, 50, 60, where you can see that the t-shirt is gonna start hitting the table. So maybe, you know what, maybe let's let it keep going. We can be patient. We're learning, right, guys? We just want to see what effect it's gonna have once it hits that table. So we're gonna click and drag. So we're not getting that that crushing that we were getting before. Let's wait a little more to make sure that it is that that fixed it. Now we can delete the inside of this, and we can go back, delete the inside, and then try it one more time. So let's see, guys. Yeah, we're still getting that black that we don't want. So let's go back. So we're gonna go back a bit more. What we're gonna do is, guys, this is real easy. If you ever want to separate a material, all you gotta do is go to, you know what, let's go back. Well, I don't want to confuse you guys. I want to show you when it's nice, where there's less material, so we can get it going. If you ever notice that along the way that happened, you can do two things. You can come here. We can select, pick an edge, right? We can pick a face. Let's say this face all the way around. Let's zoom in a little more, see what we get. So click, shift, sorry, click, shift double click, shift double click, and press delete. We're gonna do the same thing to the inside on our corners. So we already separated that. We're gonna go here. Click. We're gonna press delete. We're gonna do this to all the 4 holes, and then I'm gonna show you how easy it is. You don't have to do anything else after this. So after this, I got the base to do, and then we'll continue from there. So click, shift double click, delete. And once we do the bottom, watch how cool this is. We're gonna come here, click, shift double click, and delete. By doing that, Bam, I got rid of the inside. So now let's do this. Go back to modeling, mesh smooth. Let's give it, let's leave it there. Object mode, modify, center the pivot, press E, J, let's make sure that it's like this. We're gonna hide this by pressing H, make sure this is flat. Now here we're gonna press W, we're gonna push it up. Let's do edit, delete by type history, edit, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center the pivot. We're gonna delete this. Let's delete the cylinder. We're gonna add, let's say this is the table where the shirt is gonna fall. We're gonna make it nice and big. I'll press W. You know what, let's push the shirt down more so it doesn't have too much to fall. Now we're gonna go to effects one more time. End cloth, click, shift click, passive collider, and let's see what we get, guys. First, we should get something that's gonna fall, but we don't want that. You see how it's falling into each other? However, if you can see, it looks good. But we're gonna have to take this and change this to a t-shirt. Where's my t-shirt? There we go, replace that. Now you see it's loading faster. All the extra geometry was killing us. But let's see what we get now, guys. So I believe if we press object mode, I don't like the way that looks though. Okay, so we can mess around with this. What we can do is let's go back up. Let's change this. Oops, cancel. Let's take this from enclosed shape. Let's see if we can change it to something else. Because I do like the way that looks. But it's collapsing so much on each other that you're gonna get nasty stuff going on. So it does look okay, but it's not what I want. See how it's just falling apart? So we can try to mess with the settings with the end cloth. Let's see with the collision, self-collide. Self-collision flag, let's change this to vertices and see what happens. It's still clashing. Let's change this. Let's go back to, let's go edge, see what we get. No, still getting nasty geometry. So let's keep this at face. Let's change the thickness a bit, see what happens. So you can see by me changing the thickness just a bit, let's change this a little bit more. Let's say, and let's let it work to that point. See what we get. Bam. So you can see that just by practicing a little bit, you know, now if you want, you can be a bit of a show off and press, go back to modeling, mesh smooth one more time, and let's see the result. So now that it's smooth, check that out. Perfect. Right? You can add more divisions to see how it will look if you're daring and your Maya can handle it. Like mine has 128 gigs in my Mac, so it didn't make such a difference. But if you see, let's push this up to 200 and see what we get. So let's say you're happy with this. Then you can add materials to this. I'm gonna have to show you a trick in the next video. Um, there's a way that you can keep this the way it is, and then UV and export it from for texturing. But for now, at least we got what we needed. Let's just let's see if I can. Yeah, this part here where you have the separation. Once you do this, object mode. Let me see if I can figure it out with you guys here. Edit, delete by type history, delete by type non-deformer, freeze transformations. I think if I delete, yep. So every step I just did, modify, edit, delete by type history, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze transformations. I did not send to the pivot yet. You notice that by doing that, I get two sections when I deleted the end cloth, right? The reason for that is this is going to be my new mesh. You're going to know it here. Shape, you don't want that no more because you don't need it. Just press delete. You're going to delete the nucleus and the rigid, right? You're going to delete everything that you don't need, right? Now, because the shirt conformed to it, you can take this and push it up against the shirt. So even if I was to scale this down or delete this, since it conformed to a flat object, you can even just make this, press this, delete, let's grab the disk. Let's get rid of this shape stuff, we don't need it no more. We're gonna stretch the disk out like it's a table, mesh smooth, make it 2, and now it looks like your shirt is on a table. If you move it now, since the shirt is not going to move and the geometry is not going to deform, you can see, you can push it to about there. So it looks like it's actually laying on the table. You can actually see that when we press the shadows, you can see the shadow underneath. Let's say you're happy with that. Let me get rid of the shadow because it's lagging me. Now, if you want to UV this, let's just go through this since we're already here. Let's just give you guys a bit of a fun thing to do. So let's say we want to UV this. Object mode, you're going to click edge, right click edge. You're going to pick an edge. And you're going to try to follow that edge all the way around. So we're going to double click, right? Actually, no, I'm doing this. I'm jumping ahead. Let's say that I'm happy with this shirt, right? I'm going to go modeling, UV, camera based. So something happened but you didn't see it. Object mode. What I am gonna do is UV editor, and if I click on my shirt, yeah, this is done. UV shell. I'm gonna do this one first. Unfold, optimize, and I'm gonna press UV shell, and I'm gonna move this out of the way for now. I don't need it for now. I'm going to press object mode, and once I click on the shirt, it's ready too. So now I'm going to pick an edge here. I'm going to double click on an edge, right? That's one edge. I'm going to come to here. I'm going to press cut, right? That edge is cut. I'm going to come to this side. I'm going to pick another edge. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to come to the top. And here, I'm going to try to get as close as I can. Let me move this just a little bit on my way. So I'm just gonna eyeball this. I'm gonna double click that, press cut, and then I'm gonna come over here, right around here. It's not gonna be perfect, and I'm gonna press cut. Right now, when you press here and you come to UV shell, you're gonna have two separate pieces. This is the top. I want the top. So I'm gonna click the top first, unfold, and optimize. UV shell. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna move it over. I'm gonna rotate it and straighten it out as much as I can. I'm happy with that. Now this is the back. So with the back, you're gonna wanna click it here, UV shell. Right, we're gonna click this one. UV camera based, unfold, and optimize. Why did I do that? Because the first top, I did it through this section, is gonna give me a perfect, but this one's gonna show me reverse because it was looking up. The back, I wanted to do it through the bottom so that the back is not weird. When I put the design, it should flow congruently or smoothly, if you want to say it that way. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, we're gonna optimize it, we're gonna go to arrange the layout, and we're gonna lay it out. Now that we know that it fits in there, let's press object mode. We're gonna select everything and we're gonna lay it out. I don't want that big because I do want the shirts to flow like they were. So let's take this, let's move this over a bit. Let's do the shirt front and side. Let's move it up since we know they're about the same size. Let's center that to about here. And we can get away with making this smaller. We're gonna press R. I'm sorry, we're gonna press R just a bit, and you're gonna bring it down just a bit. Make sure that when you're working on anything, it stays inside of the green and red 0 to 1 space. Object mode. Now we're ready to export this. We're gonna test this out. Edit, delete by type history, edit, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center, and now we're gonna file, export selection. I'm gonna put this on my desktop. Notice I haven't been saving because as I do in all my tutorials, I just show you guys how to work and get to the point. You already know Command S is save. You can create a project file. Like I said, you can find videos on this anywhere online. So we're gonna put Tshirt, and we're gonna call this exhibit, right? And I'm gonna put V1. If we do a V2, then that's fine. So I'm gonna export the selection as an FBX. Export selection, let that work, minimize. The way you know that you did everything correctly in Maya, once you open 3D Painter and you do a test sample insert, it should work automatically and it shouldn't give you any issues, right? So we're gonna let that open up and we're gonna show you what that's like. Sorry for the delay, guys. I had to send out a quick message. So let's go. So now, view, new, select the T-shirt exhibit, press open, 4096. I usually leave this unclicked because I'm doing my own UVing and I'm not using cameras. So I usually leave this on click unless I'm just doing something cheesy and I want it to do everything for me. But I like doing my own work. How do you know that this worked? First of all, it's going to look perfect on screen as always. However, if you take, let's say, this and just drop it there. And let's shrink this down because it's interfering. First of all, let's add a black mask, and let's just click here where it says where you see the little box here, and we're gonna go here and we're gonna click these two because we only want it to affect our shirt. Once we get out of here, we can make this smaller, and this is how you know you got a good result. Because if you see, I don't want transparency for now, opacity, because I want you to see how cool this looks. Um, Before we do that, now that we know it works, let's do the correct process. I'm gonna delete all of this. I'm gonna put more. I'm gonna put edit, big mesh maps. We're gonna put this in 8K. We're gonna have some fun with some 8K today. We don't need, do we need all this? Curvature, precision, let's leave that on. Height, bet normals, let's leave that on. Let's add all of those on. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna come to anti-aliasing. We're gonna change it to 2x2. And once that's done, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna press big to select the textures. It should fly through this because this is not that complicated. See, as you can see now, it's almost over the first step. It's gonna go through all the motions. It shouldn't take that long because it's a simple design. If you're working on something bigger, guys, don't go 8K unless it's something important for a client. You can go 2K, 4K. Because this, especially this section here, the ambient occlusion takes a lot of time. As you can see, look how it's slowed down. It's still going pretty fast. I'm adding ambient occlusion because sometimes I might send it somewhere where I don't have the options to have shadows or the ambience occluded, and it looks crappy. If you don't have a good lighting or good shadowing, it's gonna look crappy. So I embed ambient occluding. If I know that I'm gonna put it somewhere like Keyshot or somewhere like Sketchfab, then I don't do ambient occlusion. But if it's something like I want to take a nice picture of it, then I do the ambient occlusion. So let's let that work for a minute and see, and then I'll show you guys more settings for Substance that'll make it look more realistic when you render it for a client or just for your own promotion. So shockingly, this ambient occlusion is going pretty fast, but like I told you guys, it's because it's something simple. If you have a bigger scene, I would be a bit more careful about it because you don't want to, number one, keep starting all over because you ran out of RAM. And number two, you want to make sure that it's something that your client is not waiting forever to see, you know. So we're just going to give it a minute, let that work. Once it's done, then we'll get back to the, I'm sorry I have you guys waiting. I just want to make sure that you guys see the whole process. And why I tell you if you don't need it in 8K, don't do it in 8K. I'm just showing you guys that we do have the capability of 8K. The rest of this should be a breeze. The one that consumes a lot of time is the ambient occlusion. Thickness and height is new in Substance Painter. Relatively new that they added that, plus the opacity is baked in, which is nice. So you can bake in your opacity now, and if you export it as an FBX, all of these items that we're baking in will be included in your FBX. That's why I said choose FBX. OBJ sometimes doesn't retain none of this stuff. It's an object file, but FBX even contains animation if you wanted to, which is really nice. As I always tell you guys, I love Maya. I tried 3ds Max and it's a waste of company time and company assets because, you know, there's only so much you can do with 3ds Max, but Maya, it's a beast. Later on I'll show you guys how to do stuff with wind. You can make a sail and push wind through it. You can make water splashing. You can make hair for your character. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, and later on we'll touch on more of those. Right now, this is finishing up. It's going through the curvature. Everything else should go fast because I don't have too much thickness or height and stuff. But just we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. It's almost done. So it's almost finishing, and I know you guys are being patient, and I'm sorry. I just like to show you guys the whole process to make sure that we don't miss out on anything, that I'm not leaving you stranded in my tutorials or half baking things and you're like left wondering. This is why I do the whole process. Um, so let's keep going. Again, I am a 13-year. For those who don't know, I'm a 13-year graphic designer, and I am also a graduate of Full Sail University in Computer Animations, Bachelor of Science. And so, a little bit more while this finishes up, I I began designing Land Rover Defenders as my first job, and basically they were giving clients who were paying an extreme large amount of money renders in Photoshop. I came up with the idea and I told them, listen, instead of sending them Photoshop files, why don't you let me create 3D versions and they can approve their models online? So I designed their whole library, every truck, every wheel, every brake, every muffler, everything that they put on these trucks. I created in a 3D library. And what I did was I also created the interior, all types of seats, all types of shifters. Um, you'll see stuff in my portfolio that you will not see online because I made it from scratch. It does not exist in 3D, not to the extent of of oh God, the stupid word. So I made it perfect to the point where you can render materials on it. It looks realistic. If you look at my Sketchfab, you'll see some of that stuff. You'll see the seats. You'll see also one of the dashboards. And again, if you pop leather onto these dashboards, they look realistic. The clients were happy. My work made it to Forbes magazine. My face came out in Forbes magazine for creating this. They actually came to us to the shop and were excited to see the work. They saw it live. They saw me hands on. So, I've done a lot in a short time um, that I've been doing computer animations, and that's because I love what I do. You have to love this, guys. You have to love what you do. Um, because if not, then you're just gonna be sitting on a computer bored to death, and you don't want to live your life like that. So yeah, you have to love what you're doing. The cool part about this also, if you want to 3D print something like this, you can 3D print it. I've done it. I've made my own little cartoon and I've printed it. So by you putting a little effort and being perfectionist with your modeling, this type of stuff can also be sent to companies that say they want to do a 3D print of this and make it into a display. They can do that. Um, it's a lot that can be done with your work. So take it seriously, guys. Love what you do. Enjoy it. Um, and seeing your whole work bears a lot of fruit. You will love it. Trust me. I never thought, like I said, I'd see my stuff in Forbes through the company, but it was my face on the computer design and the work. So I felt proud of that. I was able to share that with my family, leave a legacy. And so, yeah, this is almost done. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't keep you guys just listening to the computer fans go off while this works. So, yeah, we're almost there. Guys, I know I talk a lot, but sometimes I just want to make sure that you guys know a little bit about me, what I do, that this is a tough business. You have to love designing. You know, there's people that do graphic design. I started as a graphic designer, and then I got bored of it because everybody was a graphic designer. And so then I got into 3D modeling, and this is where I'm at. I'm always constantly studying too, guys. I'm always looking what's new, updating the software. Why did this software update? Is it gonna help me? Is it gonna make me faster? I always look at something to do. Don't just stay, behind, guys. Always stay ahead of the game. And this is what I'm doing here. So just give me a bit, And I'm sorry that this is taking too long. Again, we're working in 8K, so we have to be patient. It should be done. Come on. And here we go. So it's at 100%. So guys, this looks good, right? This is something that we want. It's right on the table. And so what we're gonna do is now we're gonna see, even if the lighting goes across it, look how that looks. It looks shiny for now, but we're gonna take care of that. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get rid of that shininess. So a few settings. You can come here. You can add shadows. So it'll give you shadows. You can come down here and you can do the anti-aliasing. You can do that. Here, keep it. You can move to high. You can move this to medium. And then there's one more, and I think it's here. Yep. So here we can go to medium. We can go to high. The higher you go, the more it's going to slow you down, guys. We don't want that. Let's see high. Let's see how it moves here. So you see how it's starting to drag? Let's go back to medium. Just know that you have these options available, guys. So medium is good enough for me. And let's see. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to find your t-shirt material. I have a lot of stuff here. As you can see, all this material. Some of the stuff I've created myself. A lot of leathers, a lot of like this Bentley Napa stuff is my work. I made it in Substance Designer. I mean, Sampler. In the sampler, you can create a lot of stuff. I'll show you guys how to work with that later. But right now, let's find a cotton for the shirt. And let's put C-O-T. I'm gonna press. Here we go. Let's try that. Right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click here. Black mask. Here. Click up here. Select those two. Go back to the red box and take off the opacity. I don't want that opacity, and I'm going to shift, click, and drag this all the way down. So now, look at that. Let me take off that shadow because it's kind of interfering in what I'm trying to show you guys. We'll render it a different way in a bit. So let's see, average. Let's take it off. No, but it looks good. All right, let's just, so we can work faster. Let's just say that we're happy with this. To make sure that it looks good, always zoom in, and you can shrink your material because our holes on our shirts are not that big. Let's put some wood on the table. So let's get out of here. We're gonna press WOD for wood, and let's just say we want what kind of table do we want? Let's try this. So you're gonna get this, guys. All you have to do is right click, add a black mask, make sure that's selected, and just select the table. And now when you come to the table, you can just shrink this down. And this is what we're gonna get. So let's say you're happy with this. You can try different woods to match. I'll show you how to mess with this shirt in a minute, but let's just pick a nice wood for the table. It looks painful. Walnut? Oh, it's even worse. Let's keep the one we had. I like the way that white looks there. So let's keep that. If it would have been a real table, it would have had depth to it. But let's say this is what we're going for, right? Now, if you want to mess with your shirt, you click on the red of the shirt, and you can change anything here. You have different options. If you press dots, hammer, devil's bath. You have a lot of stuff. Iris. Oxford. Oxford looks cool. Let me make sure I don't have no opacity because I don't want to. Okay, so I'm happy with Oxford, but I don't like the color of Oxford. Let's say I want it to be white. Let's go back And let's go with orange shirt. Okay, let's say I'm happy with the orange shirt. Um, Now, let's say you want to add a label to this. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. I have a label maker, right? Let's say you're trying to promote your shirt. Label. As you can see, I've done other stuff. But let's say I want a label on this. I'm going to come here. I'm going to click and drag it to the top of this. And I'm going to get probably a whole bunch of labels if I shrink this, which I don't want. So first of all, if you want just one label, you're gonna turn off. You're gonna leave the opacity on, because if not, you're gonna get this. So you're gonna leave the opacity on, and then so what you're gonna do is the attributes. They changed this a little bit. Hold on. They changed this because before you didn't need all of those. Sorry, tiling. Nope. Where did they put that? There was a setting before. Right here. Repeat, none. So you only get this here, right? And we're gonna shrink it. And we're gonna put it right over here. Right? Let's get rid of the opacity because it's messing with our work. So now that we don't want the opacity, we can shrink this. We're gonna have to zoom in so we can see what we're working on. And let's say that's where your label goes. You can pop your label here. They can see it. So you see what I was saying about earlier? This is flipped. So you're gonna have to click and drag it and bring it over. And bring it back into the space, and now it should be fixed. That's gonna happen sometimes, guys, but let's just make it smaller because we don't want a giant label just hanging out here. So let's just say I'm happy with that. Now, where we're gonna see the fruits of our labor is, let's say that's what you're going for. We're gonna go into mode, array. And that's where you're going to see what it's going to actually look like. Give it a few seconds. That's only the max samples. I have it at 1,000. You can bump that up if you wanted to. Like right now here, I can mess with the sky and see what it's going to look like. So let's say, I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm happy with that. It's making me happy with that. Let's turn this off for a minute and see if I can get faster reaction from the sky. Okay, let's say I'm happy with that. Hold on. So I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see a bit about what I'm saying. So now, let's say you're going to render this for a client. They want to know how their t-shirt is going to look. Here we go. You get a nice t-shirt, and that's low. We can bump this up to, let's say, minutes. We want it to take 10 minutes, which we're not going to take. But as you can see, it's going to keep rendering longer than 10 seconds, and it's going to keep going. You can turn on the caustic field sampler. It's going to give you a bit more. And yeah, so that's about it, guys. So this is what you're going to get. Eventually, you can export this out as an FBX. It's going to keep all the materials, everything that we baked on. I hope you enjoyed the video. You guys take care. Until the next time, take care, guys.